Hey, what's up? It's Jake from Nimbus DevOps, and I'm here today to talk to you about conditional programming. Specifically, we're going to talk about the if statement. Go ahead and create a new file called work.py, and we're going to do a little hands-on learning from this point forward. So, conditional programming or branching, as some people call it, is something you do every day. Like if the light turns green, then you should go. If it's red, then you should stop. If it's raining, take an umbrella, stuff like that. Um, so we're going to use, I call this work.py because if you're going to be late for work, you should call your boss, right? So I'm going to show you how this works. And I'm going to create a variable called late. And I'm just going to say that's true. You are late. You are in fact late for work. So if you're late, we're going to print I need to call my manager. Oh no, right? So the reason I do late is true is because if late is in this program always true, so there's never a case so long as late equals true that this is not going to be true. And the way that conditionals work is it will only do this next step that's indented if whatever this condition, late is the condition, is true. So in this case, it's true. So let's see what happens. So if I say, let's go back, make sure in your directory where your script is, and then just type Python work.py. I need to call my manager, right? That's all it does because it just evaluated late, this condition, and it says, oh, late is true. So I need to call my manager. What happens if I change this to false? If late is false, and I run the script again, it doesn't print anything because that's not true, so it doesn't do it. So I'm going to leave this as true. Okay. This is like the simplest example, but always make sure that whatever you're going to do, if a condition is met or true, it has to be indented. So that's very important to remember that, and it has to have a colon. You'll probably forget that a few hundred times. So what do we do if it's not true? If you're late, print true. Else is what you would tell somebody if you're not late. So if you're not late, then what do you need to do? Well, I'll tell you what you don't need to do. Let's print that you don't need to call manager. I do not need to call my manager, period. All right, so if late is true, it's going to do this. If late is not true, it's going to do this. All right, so let's run this script. I need to call my manager. If you're not late, or if late is false, I do not need to call my manager. See how that works? This is basically the foundation of any branching program that you have. And you get a different result depending on how the expression is evaluated. If it evaluates to true, it says you need to call your manager. I'm changing my wording here for you to get used to hearing it. If it evaluates to false, then you do not need to call your manager. So in this example, you get introduced, to the if and else clauses. They're extremely handy when you want to provide some sort of alternate set of instructions, like do this. If this happens, do this. If not, then do this. And you can see how now, if you think about the logic of your job, and you're like, oh well, I do this report. Oh, I can, and someone like me will come by and say, I can automate that for you. And if you're thinking no, because if this happens, then you have to do this. But then, like, if this person doesn't send this, like, so long as there's a documented process for how that works, or you can define it yourself, you can code it. And if you can code it, you can automate it, even if there are different conditions in which there may be different things that you need to do. Like if it's Monday, run this report. If it's not Monday, run this report. But if it's Saturday, run this report. But if it's the first of the month, you have to run a different report. If it's the 30th, you need to run a different. If it's a leap year, you need to do something different. You can code all those things so long as you can think about them and define them. you can kind of pseudocode it on a piece of paper, just like, okay, well, if this and that, but if this, then also this, and then they also have to do these 5 other things. But if that's not working, then this, and if this person's not here, then you have to do this. And if you can define all of that on a piece of paper, then you can come in here and you can code it. It's totally a thing. So, speaking of which, we'll get into the next section, which will be else if or elif.